Hey everyone, it's Eric Zorn again from ICM 505. This time I am recording a video for the Cool Items badge, and I called it the Cool Items badge, which is going to be an optional badge that I've worked on with Professor Gruen, because it's pretty much open to what you guys want to do, but you'll see what I'm talking about. It's using different includes and embeds with code that you can use from w3schools.com. Under the How-To tab. And now what you see in front of you is a quick instruction template I've made on how to pretty much do the raw amount of code. So let's get into it. The way I started was I navigated to w3schools.com/how-to, and before I show you that, I'll show you my site. So none of this makes sense, but as you can see here at the bottom, you can have quick JavaScript canvas drawing with scrolling. You can do, this is really useful in Accordion to store information and hide it, which is a really popular thing. Bootstrap tends to also have their own Accordion, I believe, with Bootstrap 4. I don't know if Bootstrap 3 does. You can make contact chips, cards. I created a CSS loader. You can have switches that you can toggle. You can have different skill sets or bar graphs with percentages that are styled, and many others. And these can all be found at this link, as I said before, w3schools.com/how-to. And now, as you see here, there's tons and tons of different things you can include on your site. So let's say you wanted to include specifically arrows. You would click arrows, and you can see the definition or the example of what they do. And then you can see the step-by-step code of how to include these. A lot of these are pretty simple and self-explanatory. Others might be a little harder to understand, but I'll give you an example. Let's say we chose cards. You would obviously need your own image, or you can copy and paste this image into your images folder. And pretty much all I did was I scrolled all the way down to the last step and I clicked try it by yourself. So the way you can see how it all works is you can see the CSS that's styled within the top here, and then you can see the HTML and divs within the body wrapper. So I just copied what was necessary. So for instance, I would copy all this stuff, put it into my HTML, and then I'd copy all the CSS and put it into my external style sheet. Now for this page, what I did was, before I started anything, I took a template and saved it as cool items or cool-items.php, and I deleted everything within the body, and I added my own jumbotron, as you can see here, which was really simple. Just welcome to the cool items page, and then within it is all the copied code from the website for each of these different things. Now the CSS, what I did was I ended up within my CSS folder, I made a specific CSS page called coolitems.css, and for each of the different items that I put within my HTML, I copied and pasted the CSS here, and then commented out specifically where each thing began and ended, or what each thing specifically was. Now, once the CSS was pasted in this document and the HTML was pasted in this document, you have to make sure you link your style sheet. So literally, once all that is done, which is really simple, I just wrote a link to my style sheet of CSS, because it's looking into the CSS folder here, /coolitems.css. So all this is doing, which we've done in the past, is telling this HTML to search for the styles in this folder and this document. So also what I've done on some of these things, I've included font awesome, which is simple depending on the type of include you want to use. Like I believe the arrows, as we had seen before, you need to specifically, let's see if I can find arrows. Yeah, so as you can see here, these are just little icons. They looks like they've stylized it themselves, as you can see here. But let's just take a look. Some of them are more advanced, like this maybe. Nope, so they stylized them themselves. Font awesome is a great icon embed, kind of like what Google Fonts is. So as you can see here, if I'm searching font awesome to include, They've got tons and tons of different icons, and you can search the different types you want, but they have all different types of icons that you can use on a page for just about anything. And the way you do it is you just click home and download, and you put their CSS in your CSS folder. So let me just explain. So as you can see here, the Accordion folder, I gave them all H2s, which you probably want to do, or at least give it a header so you can tell where each thing starts and stops. As you can see here within the code, I just copied and pasted the HTML for the Accordion, and below the header, you have to put a button above each of the content, and then you write your content within the panel class, as you can see here within its own div, and then when you see the stylizing, if I can find panel, you put display none, and obviously when you click the button it will choose to display. So yeah, have fun with it. Follow my instructions here. Also, before I forget, what you're going to want to do, so your active class works, which is, as you can see here in your lessons panel, you're going to, like you've done on the other pages, you're going to want to open up javascript.php, and you're going to want to copy the latest line and paste it. And you're going to want to make sure within your PHP document you give the body tag an ID of cool, or whatever you want to call it, and then within your JavaScript you're going to want to make sure you include that ID and then say that it's found within lessons. So that will make sure that it adds the active class to that, so this way you can see you're within the lessons drop down. So this may seem complicated like some of the other badges, but it's really simple. It's literally a matter of copying and pasting your code, and you can see here on the left there's just tons of different examples. We've already gone over the Google API stuff like translate fonts and maps, but you can include lots and lots of cool things like login forms, snack bars, toggle switches, scroll drawings, cards, etc. So I'd say include around 3 to 5 of them. I believe Professor Gruen had said you can specify with him, and make sure it looks good, everything works, and then when you're done, as I said on here, if it's all displayed correctly within your map, localhost, feel free to FTP it with CyberDuck or FileZilla, whatever you feel more comfortable with, and see it live on the site. And then after that, I'm sure Professor Gruen will have you make a discussion board request for 2 endorsers, and most likely just submit the badge, and you can see and hear other people's comment on your code. So guys, for those of you just quickly who might be a little confused or uncomfortable with doing this, to show you how easy it is, I scrolled to the W3 Schools how-to, as I mentioned in the previous part of the video, and I chose, you can choose anything, I chose alerts, which look like this, and these are all styled differently, obviously danger, success, info, and warning. Now Bootstrap also has their own versions of these, but this is how W3 Schools did it, which is really simple. So the way to include all this is I scrolled all the way down to the last part of the tutorial. Now the only reason I'm not doing this is because this is where the JavaScript is for the animation. But I chose this, and now the way to include this is I literally scroll down through the code, and above the closing body tag and below the opening body tag is all the content, which starts with alert messages all the way down through the danger action. So what I did was I copied and pasted literally the header and all the content within it, and I go into my container below my breakpoints, or I'm sorry, I'll go below my Jumbotron, and I just paste the code right in there, and I hit Command A and function F12 within Sublime, which just helps automatically re-indent, but you obviously can indent how you feel looks best. So when you copy and paste that, all that's going to show up is this right here on your site, because nothing's styled, as you can see here. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to highlight all the styles and copy. Go back to your text editor, and within your cool item CSS, you're going to want to write a comment and say, for instance, these are the alerts. And then below it, just hit enter and paste. I'm going to re-indent. Now, if everything worked correctly, all of these styles starting here above the accordion and below this comment are your alert styles. So, you go back into your document and you refresh. Maybe it's because it's cached. Let me just try it. Go to a different browser. Unless something did not work correct. Nope, it worked correctly. Sometimes you just have to try a different browser. But yeah, you click the X and it goes away. You refresh it, it comes back, and everything's styled. So there you go, you got an alert. And it should be responsive as well because it's within the container, and as you can see here it is. So yeah, it's as simple as that. Pretty much just navigating to the correct or the interesting how-to part that you want to include, and just hitting try it yourself and copying and pasting the code and just making sure it works correctly. And sometimes you might have to try other browsers because of caching and it gets complicated within your browser, but yeah, it should work. So I look forward to seeing what you guys do, and I will speak to you guys soon. Have a good one.